Hello everybody, this is Lamia Hassanein and I'm here to support you with crisis schooling. I would like to take this opportunity to bust the myth and differentiate between homeschooling and crisis schooling that everybody around the globe is going through right now. Homeschooling is the parents' clear choice that they are not going to send their children to school, yet they're going to select a curriculum and do all the lesson planning and all the teaching for their children for every year group at home. Whereas crisis schooling that is currently happening is that the schools continues to support parents at home by selecting the objectives and doing all the planning and the work for their children, and parents are expected to facilitate the materials that is being sent for their children, which narrows down our roles as parents in this process to facilitators of the learning process rather than teachers. In order to have a successful crisis schooling at home, we need to consider two main ingredients. Your first one is a timetable, and this timetable is a crucial part of this learning process. This timetable is not going to only be for the children. It should be for the children and the supporting parent as well. In the timetable, there will be designated time for schoolwork. As school starts from 8 and finishes at 3, so as crisis schooling at home. It starts at 8, it finishes at 3. Weekends are off, exactly the same at home. Weekends are off, we don't do schoolwork. It is also important to understand that having a timeline for the children makes it easier for them to plan their day, makes it easier for them to schedule their minds and know what is expected from them and become more of achievers than feeling that they're always letting us down with our expectations and expected work. It is important to understand that having an open-ended time to work on school is very, very worrying for both the parents and the children. That's why timetables are very important. When you are scheduling the time from 8 to 3 for school time, it is important to consider activities like PE activities, like art activities, like music activities. It is also important to schedule breaks and social breaks where your children get to meet and talk with their friends, cousins, and family members as well. The second ingredient in this process would be having a designated area of work. As much as children pack their bags and they head to school, which is a designated area of work, please create a space for them at home where they get to go and finish their work. And then they can come back to their normal home life. This designated area of work should have very good lighting and a very, very comfortable seating as well. It is important to understand that it will be very, very helpful if you set some visual learnings for your children during this time, in this area, to support them to do independent learning at some times during the day. It is also important to have the resources prepared and organized. And if your teachers share the materials earlier, it would be very wise to have them printed and prepared for them to work on immediately, or at least create a small agenda for them to know exactly the expected task. It's a very wise tip is to ensure that your children have some independent learning time during the day. You cannot be there, if you have more than one child, you cannot be there during all the time. You are expected to support your first child, then their second and the third at some opportunities. And other parents also are working parents, so they need some time for their homework, working from home time. So it would be very wise that you sit with your child and ask them which topics or subjects that they are willing to work on independently. And your task in this area would be to create proper visual aids or at least some guidelines for them to finish these tasks independently without having to come back to you every step of the way. The most thing I would like to leave you with today is that remember that learning doesn't happen from one teaching experience. Learning happens when children visit the subject and the material once and twice and maybe 3 times. So are we as parents. Allow yourself the time to learn. Allow yourself the time to experience this. I'm sure you're all going to get better in it. Let's support each other in crisis schooling.